Hi, I'm Pamela Topchian, board certified hypnotherapist and integrative healing arts practitioner. And I want to give you today 5 visualizations that you can use on your own to help you let go of any blocks and obstacles that have been holding you back. But the most important thing first is that you're ready. Make sure that you're ready to let go. Sometimes we're not sure if we're ready because we don't know if we want that responsibility of success. It's kind of easier, and regardless of, you're not always doing this on purpose, but sometimes we might internally, resist anything that's going to help us let go because it's easier to say, well, this thing that happened to me in childhood is holding me back, or this obstacle that's happening in my life right now is holding me back, whatever it is. Or you might just say or feel like I've done everything for success, but there's some sort of block. I can feel that there's some sort of block holding me back, even if you don't know what it is. But that makes it a little easier to not have to prove to yourself that you can be successful, or even if it's not success, just living your life to the fullest. So make sure that you're ready for change, ready to give up those blocks and obstacles, and then give yourself permission. I know this sounds a little crazy, but it's really very helpful to first, before any transformation, before any change, anything major in your life, it's good to give yourself permission. You want to put your hand on your heart and just, even close your eyes and almost like a meditative state, give yourself permission to move on, to let go, you know. So make sure you're ready, give yourself permission. And then another thing I want to bring up too about visualizations, a lot of people say that I cannot visualize. I can't see something in my mind's eye. I can't see it. I don't have that kind of imagination. And that's totally fine. There's some word for this, but it's real. It's a real thing that a lot of people can't actually see with their mind's eye. However, I would like to, let you know that, if I say the word apple, and I've used this example before with people and in groups, but if I say the word apple, you know what I'm talking about. I don't have to have an apple here in front of me for you to know what it looks like. And you don't, when I close my eyes and somebody says apple, if I can't imagine, I still know what they're talking about, right? So the same is true for things we can't see, like oxygen, air, wind. We can't see it. We don't have to imagine wind or oxygen or air, but we know what it is, right? And think of even things that we've never seen, maybe just a picture or a drawing or a painting or something, but like a unicorn, you know, you know what that looks like. You don't have to visualize it in your mind. You don't have to actually see it. So I am very visual, so I can close my eyes and imagine something, or somebody tell me to imagine something, and I can see it clearly in my mind's eye. And other people are like that too. But there are some that can't see anything like that. They don't have that kind of imagination. And that's perfectly fine. It doesn't mean that these aren't for you. So you can sort of get the concept and imagine, without seeing it. You can imagine it without seeing it, like thinking of like daydreaming. Um, you know, there used to be a thing before before internet, before all these devices, before the video games and everything, when I was a kid, if you're bored, you can just daydream and just sit there and daydream, sort of get off into almost a meditative state and just daydream about whatever. anything that you want. It's kind of like that age-old question of, what would you do if you won the lottery, you can imagine, you can think about what you would do, right? Even if you can't really see whatever it is, you can still imagine it without seeing it. Okay? All right. So, so the first visualization is untying knots. So this one is, just imagine that there's a rope in front of you and there's knots in the rope, and each knot represents different blocks and obstacles that have been holding you back. And you don't even have to know what they are, but sometimes you do. So some people know exactly the thing that's holding them back and keeping them from moving forward. And other people say, there's a block in there, but I don't know what it is. Um, and so all of these work for any of that. I think they do anyway. Anyway, so the first one is untying knots. So you imagine a rope with knots in it, each knot representing a block or an obstacle that's holding you back. And imagine yourself untying these knots. And as you untie the knots, you feel a sense of relief with each one, knowing that you're letting go of that obstacle or that block. And it might even be one big knot, and you could just work on it, getting it untied. And you can also imagine if some of them might be loose and some of them might be tighter. And you can imagine that you have a toolbox next to you. So any of them that are really tight or hard to undo, you have just the perfect tool in your toolbox to help you with that. So that can really be helpful. And, the knots in the rope also, this one I like, a lot of times people feel like they have a knot in their stomach or their back is all tense and knotted up, or they have a lump in their throat. All of this is, either stuck emotions or, um, or just different blocks that are holding you back, things that are stuck within you. So oftentimes, if you untie these knots and you let go of these blocks and obstacles by untying those knots, sometimes you get a sense of relief, and some of the pain might be gone. If you have physical symptoms as well, some of that might also be released. So it can really work wonders. Now, I'm not saying, that there are people that have definite stomach issues, they have definite issues with their throat, area, issues with their back that are completely medical. And I'm not saying to use anything in place of medical treatment. But what I'm saying is that you might be surprised, it might help with those as well, because I've seen it happen. So number two is you can pretend that there's a dial. And just like when, for me anyway, and for a lot of people, if there's a loud noise, if anything is up too loud, then you can feel tense, you can feel a little tense about it. And it just makes you more anxious. And that's like, you're in that stuck state. So imagine that the blocks and the obstacles are the dial turned all the way up. It's just loud, it's there, you can't move, you can't do anything, you're just stuck in that state. So imagine turning down that dial, like turning down the volume. And as you do, the blocks or the obstacles are losing their power. They're getting weaker and softer and quieter. And you can even turn it all the way off if you want. If this one works well for you, then you can just turn that off. So the third one is bubbles. So a lot of us played with bubbles when we were kids, and you blew bubbles, or you had a bubble machine, or maybe you had a bubble machine for your children. If you're older like me, and you might have had a bubble machine or played with bubbles with your children, or even think of a bubble bath. So whenever I say bubbles, however you think of that, that's right for you. So you can imagine that the blocks and obstacles are encased in these bubbles, and you can pop that bubble and it dissipates. It disappears. So imagine that these blocks and obstacles are encased in different bubbles, and you can imagine them however you want. They're big bubbles floating away, and you pop it and it just, disperses everywhere, or lots of little bubbles, however you want to see it, it's totally fine. Pop the bubble. There, those blocks and obstacles are disappearing with the bubbles. So then number 4 is clouds. So just imagine, that you're outside somewhere, maybe your favorite place, some place that you like to hang out and just, daydream or, relax in some way, or even where you like to go for a hike or walk, or even if you have a nice backyard or front porch, whatever it is, um, or on the beach, whatever it is. So you're outside and you see the sky, you're looking at the sky, noticing how beautiful that is. And there's just some clouds, just really wispy clouds, just gently, slowly moving along. And there's 2 ways you can do this. You can just imagine, like the bubbles, that the clouds are carrying those blocks and obstacles. Or you can imagine sending them up to be carried away. And I like this one because it feels like they're in you, and then you can just imagine sending them up to the clouds. Carry them away for me, please, And so then you imagine, of course, then the cloud is carrying them away. And sometimes those clouds just sort of like bubbles just disperse and just get, lighter and lighter and disappear as they do, as they move along. And then your blocks and obstacles are disappearing along with it. So that can be really, you can feel very light after this one. You imagine this and you just feel very light and free, like a cloud in the sky. So that's a nice one to visualize and imagine. So then another one is being on the beach. Imagine yourself on the beach. You're walking up towards the water to where the water starts to get wet from the waves coming in. And those waves are very peaceful, right? I mean, even in some of those machines to help you sleep, the white noise machines or whatever, a lot of them have a wave sound because it's known as being just a peaceful sound, and it's rhythmic, and it's kind of like a heartbeat, I think, I think that's part of why it's peaceful for a lot of people. But you can imagine yourself, walking up to the water, to the edge of the sand, and noticing a stick at your feet. And you pick it up and you start drawing in the sand. Maybe, you can draw some symbols that represent whatever blocks and obstacles. Maybe it's a name. Maybe you write somebody's name in there. Or maybe you write something, just a word or two or maybe even like a date, something that reminds you of a situation that feels like it's a stuck thing within you that's holding you back. Or you can just write out, symbols or drawings or something that represents a block. If you don't know what's holding you back, but you have some sort of blocks in there, you can just make a symbol of a block, or an obstacle. And then you watch the wave come in and carry it away, erase it, right? And then another wave comes in and it's fully gone and cleansed and cleared away. And again, you might feel like a sense of relief as you imagine this. So that's 5 of them. There's others, but a couple things I want to say. So I would suggest that you maybe think about these in your mind's eye. Decide on one that you want to do, one that feels really good and, really resonates with you. And do that one a few times. Do it in meditation, or even just like a daydream, or, if you're somebody that meditates, set up the way you normally would for meditation and do that in meditation. Um, you can also, I would do it a few times and then, sort of be aware of what changes start to take place in your life. If you want to try them all, great, try them all. You know, it's not going to hurt you to do them all. But this is a way that you can do it for yourself. But I also want to add that if you have some trouble visualizing or getting, into that flow, that state where you can daydream and visualize these things, if you want me to do a guided visualization for one of these, untying knots, the dial, the bubbles, the clouds, the beach is writing in the sand. If you want me to do a whole guided visualization on one of those, please let me know and I'll see what I can do. I'll see when I have time and I'll create one and then record it. So it takes me a little longer with after I record it, then I have to then adding music to it and and uploading it, and it takes a little bit of time to do that, but I will do it. So if you want one of those done, if you've listened to some of the guided meditations on this channel, then you'll know, how it will sound. So just let me know. And I also would love to hear if you do some of these on your own. Let me know how it goes. I would love to hear it. So let's see, is there anything else that I need to go over about this before I let you go? So as I said, most important that you're ready to let go. It also helps to give yourself permission. And yeah, I guess that's it. So just daydream, just do it in meditation. Yeah, and if you want me to do one, to record one, then I'll be happy to do that too. So thank you so much for being here. As always, thank you, thank you, thank you. And if you like this video or if you get any value from this, please subscribe and share it out if you think it'll help anybody else that you know. So thanks. Bye.